Imagine you were living 200 years ago. Your country is at war, your nation is divided, and then one remarkable person rises. Someone like Napoleon, Abraham Lincoln, Queen Elizabeth I, or someone like Nelson Mandela. I know Nelson Mandela was not there 200 years ago. So, but that person was simply born to lead. That's what everybody believed. They believed that leadership was a destiny of them, of these individuals, these extraordinary people. No one asked about training. No one asked about coaching. No one asked about organizational culture. But was it really destiny? What if history remembered only the winners? And what if leadership is more complicated than one extraordinary person? Today, we are exploring the two theories that started it all, the great man theory and the threat theory. Welcome to Global Leadership Circle. My name is Dr. Aloysius Maduforo. In episode 1, we explored what leadership theory is and why every leader unknowingly follows one. Today, we travel back nearly 2 centuries to where formal leadership thinking began. This episode is about one simple question that shaped over 100 years of leadership research. Are leaders born, or can they be developed? Are leaders born or made is the big question we're introducing today. This question has shaped leadership research for over 180 years. Today's leadership is studied in the universities. Researchers conduct experiments to look at leadership characteristics, and organizations spend billions developing leaders. None of that existed in the 19th century. Back then, people explained history through extraordinary individuals. Entire civilizations were believed to rise or fall because of exceptional people. If a kingdom prospered, people credited it to the king. And if a nation lost the war, they blamed the king. They didn't believe that leadership was a process, that people could develop leadership skills. They believed that leadership was a gift and not just a position. So, the great man theory, that's what we are going to explore in this first part. Thomas Carr was the most influential voice behind this idea. He's a Scottish historian. So he told the history. And he wrote one of the most famous books in leadership today. Why Heroes, Hero Worship, and the Heroic in History. His argument was straightforward. History is shaped by heroes. Great leaders aren't made, they are born. According to Carr, certain individuals possess natural greatness that ordinary people simply do not. These individuals appear when society needs them most. So, notice something there. It wasn't called the great person theory. It was called great man theory. That reflected 19th century society, where political and military leadership was overwhelmingly reserved for men. Today, we recognize leadership exists across all genders, all cultures, and all communities. So, whether you are black, you are white, you are Asian, you are any part of the world, we have leaders that are doing excellently well in all cultures and communities. So it's not just that history is shaped by heroes. He proposed that great leaders aren't made, they are born. So the great man theory have people like Napoleon, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Martin Luther, Mohammed, Shakespeare as examples. Carr argued that this individual changed civilization because they possess extraordinary qualities from birth. History, in his view, was simply the biography of great men. Leaders aren't a skill. Leadership wasn't a skill to be learned. It was destiny. That was the word according to Thomas Carr and the great man theory. So people believed it actually. Why do they believe it? The theory makes sense. Think about it. The people he has used as examples were great men and they did a lot of great things. But when extraordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, it's easy to assume that they were simply different. So natural charisma, exceptional courage, unmatched intelligence. People really saw the years of learning behind success. They saw only the finished products. To them, greatness wasn't developed, it was discovered. The great man theory, when you look at it, a critical reflection by different people, eventually scholars began to ask that difficult question. If leaders are born, why do some naturally gifted people fail? Why do ordinary people sometimes become extraordinary leaders? Why does someone succeed in one organization but struggle somewhere else? If greatness alone explains leadership, why do circumstances matter so much? That great man theory couldn't answer these questions. So leadership research needed evidence, not just stories. Then the trait theory emerged. The trait theory did not really discard the great man theory. Instead of asking who are the great leaders, researchers began to ask, what characteristics do successful leaders have? That question changed leadership forever. This became known as the trait theory. Their characteristics, their traits. So the trait theory didn't completely reject the great man theory. Instead, it tried to make it scientific. Rather than saying leaders are simply heroes, researchers search for measurable characteristics shared by effective leaders. So, could leadership be predicted by personality? Could intelligence explain leadership? What confidence, integrity, determination, communication, emotional stability does these leaders possess? So researchers studied thousands of leaders, military officers, political leaders, business executives, and community organizations. The belief was clear. If we can identify the right traits, we can find leaders and develop more of them. From heroes to characteristics, from might to measurements. So here, the trait theory tried to do what? Identify the characteristics possessed by effective leaders. But is it enough? Across decades of the research, several traits appeared repeatedly. Intelligence, self-confidence, determination, integrity, sociability, emotional stability, achievement, motivation, drive. Now, vision. These are several characteristics that we have found. They weren't random observation. Researchers actually attempted to measure them scientifically. And if you look at the hiring process today for leaders, you see that these characteristics, they still look out for it when they are hiring people. So the trait theory is still in life today. So, but Ralph Stugil changed everything in 1948. He came to an important moment in leadership history. He reviewed over 100 leadership studies. His conclusion surprised everyone. There is no one universal list of traits that guarantees leadership success. Traits matter, but situations matter too. Someone who succeeds leading soldiers may struggle leading researchers. Someone who inspires volunteers may not succeed leading a corporation. Leadership depends on both the leader and the situation. That single insight opened the door for the next generation of theories. So it's looking at both the leader and the situation. So in the next generation of theories we'll be studying in this series of leadership theories, we'll be looking at behavioral theory, contingency theory, and situational theory. Everything we cover we will cover in future episodes, and we'll have more theories we'll be looking at, both transformational theory, transactional theory. We're going to look at them. But before I move forward, if you want to speak to Global Leadership Circle, you're a leader, you want to have conversation with us, reach out to us through our email, and we're going to have a conversation with you. It could be a webinar, it could be one-on-one podcast. It's free. Just send out an email. You can send me a message through this YouTube channel, and then we're going to have a conversation. Want to continue? What are the strengths of the trait theory? The trait theory transformed leadership research. Well, for the first time, leadership became measurable. It was not based on only stories any longer. Organizations could identify leadership potentials. Selection became more systematic. Leadership assessments tools emerged. And even today, many hiring processes still evaluate traits such as, is he confident enough, integrity, communication, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. They look at all that as a trait of a good leader, of a team leader, of someone that can actually lead a team, lead the organization, lead the corporation, lead the institution, lead the department. Trait theory is still alive, just in a more sophisticated form. So it laid the foundation for modern leadership science, and it helps us to move from just minds of telling stories to measurements, measurable characteristics. But does it have limitations? Yes. Trait theory don't explain leadership. Only traits does not explain leadership, what leadership is about. And it does not explain the context. It does not talk about the context of the leader. It does not look at the relationship that the leader builds. It does not look at the cultural matters that are associated with the environment where you are leading. And also, it does not reflect and say, these characteristics that are found in effective leaders can be learned. Trait theory did not present that. So leadership also, it does not present this, that leadership develops over time through learning, through observation, through shadowing, through delegation, and through practice. So having desirable traits does not automatically make someone an effective leader. Likewise, people who don't initially possess certain traits can often develop the competencies needed to lead successfully. So we see that in the modern perspective, today's leadership scholars generally agree on three important ideas. They agree. Number one is personal characteristics can make leadership easier, which trait theory has helped us to identify these characteristics that were found in effective leaders. Confidence, integrity, curiosity, resilience, communication, empathy, vision, personal characteristics. They can make effective leadership easier. Number two is characteristics alone are never enough. You must look at the context, relationship, because if you want to make a change, you need to have what is called buy-in. And who are those that you are going to buy in with? Who are those that are around you that you need to talk to? Relationship matters a lot. Also, the challenges you will face. So you must look at the challenge. You don't chicken out at the early stage, because there must be that resilience. So also, and you also look at opportunities that are available to you. Then also, number three thing that they agree with is leadership can be developed. That's why we have Department of Leadership today in universities, and we have different people today practicing leadership at various spheres. So leadership can be developed, can be learned, through practice, through learning. You seek feedback from colleagues, from subordinates, from people you lead, through reflections, personal reflection. You reflect on your actions and things you do to improve, to do better, to maintain a particular characteristic that has helped you over time, and also through growth. We grow in different ways. We want to learn better, want to read books, want to observe people that we admire their leadership characteristics. So the third idea changed everything, because if leadership can be developed, then organizations, schools, universities, and communities all have a role in preparing future leaders. So we see that there are practical applications. Before our next episode, in today's leadership exercise, write down 5 leaders you admire. It might not be those on my list, but 5 leaders you admire. You can type it on the charts. Number 2, next to each person's name, identify 3 qualities that made them effective. 3 qualities that made them effective. Number 3, now ask yourself one more question. Ask yourself one more question. Number 4, were those qualities present in them from birth, or were they developed through experience? You know, I've had opportunity to interview some leaders through my research, and some of them, when they started their position, they were like, they didn't know what they wanted to do. But through experience over time, they are now in second tenure of 5 years. First tenure was 5 years, second tenure another 5 years. So they're in their last tenure. And they found out that they have developed a lot of competencies. They know what to do at each time because they have learned it over time. It was not there from the beginning. So was it from birth or was it developed? You may discover that many of the characteristics you admire are actually learnable. So were those qualities present from birth? That's one thing you should know. Or were they developed through experience? That's encouraging if they are learnable, because if it means leadership isn't reserved for choosing few. So you can be a very effective leader. So in the next episode, we'll be looking at other leadership theories. In a logical question, it becomes inevitable. If leadership isn't about who leaders are, maybe it's about what leaders do. That idea transforms leadership research once again. So in episode 3, we'll be exploring behavioral theory of leadership, where researchers shift attention from its threats to behaviors, asking whether effective leadership will be learned by observing and practicing what successful leaders actually do. So that will be coming up next in episode 3. Before we close today, leadership research began with heroes, then a search for threats. Soon, it will soon begin studying behaviors, relationship, context, and development. That journey started with this deceptively simple question: are leaders born or made? If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, share with someone passionate about leadership, and join the conversation in the comment section. Do you think leaders are born or made, or both? If you enjoyed this, don't you think it's important to see you again in the next episode? Thank you if you got to this point. My name is Aloysius Maduforo. Thank you. Bye for now.